Hello and welcome to my working table. This video is all about doing something more to my scroll with the theme, the botanical theme. And this is the third part, and there will probably be a part 4 also. But I will put a link here in the description box or under the little word more here under the video, and you can find the first 2 parts. But before I start, do something here on my scroll. Yeah, first of all, I will apologize for my dirty nails. I have scrubbed them and done all I could to get them clean, but I was invited out yesterday to a stag party, and no stripping or no singing by me, but it was woman of a certain age who is going to get married, and her friends surprised her with a party where I was going to learn 13 women to jelly print, and that was quite fun, and I was quite dirty, and I can't seem to get the last paint of my fingers. But that was another story, and not about this, what we're doing today. The other thing is, you can see I put all my materials here up in a little box. You can also have a bag or anything, but I think it is nice to have all your things the same place. So if I just, no, I'm so lucky I have a garden, but if I can take this with me out in the garden and sitting in my sofa and also here in my work on my working table or wherever I want to stitch, I just grab this and take it with me, and that is a nice thing. But I will just quickly introduce myself. If you're new here on my channel, a very warm welcome to you. My name is Lisbeth, and I'm a Danish abstract mixed media artist who likes to do many kinds of different things, and among them is stitching and slow stitching. And I have divided my content up in playlists, so look there and find the things that interest you and skip the other things. I think that is a nice way to look at it, so you don't have to go all through all the videos. But enough of me talking. I will get started and tell you what I have done since last time. This was so far I got on the last video. And when you start with in one direction and you have not a big finished plan in your head, but I know I want it to be some kind of a botanical theme, because I have all these print with leaves. Then I thought all the other small patches should have something in that theme. And yeah, that was all I was considering when I started. And some of the things I didn't think work very well. For instance, I thought these were too green, so I just whipped another thread around it there. And I don't also think now that it must have some more definition. It is quite pale. So I thought, okay, this is what you have seen, and to start another way, I started it at the other end of the scroll and did a lot there, because there are many more patches I can do something with. But in fact, this is the last patch, and that is exactly a gel print with leaves. And there I just done running stitches all around, like you can see, but the outline I have whipped also, and I think it gives a more clear definition. So on the other patches in the beginning, I will do the same. I will show you one of them later in this video, or perhaps in the next. I normally work quite abstract, and I'm not one who embroider flowers like that. There are so many other very good embroiderers, Marian's World and Jennifer Clouston and others here on YouTube who are brilliant at making embroider flowers, and that isn't quite my ball game. So, but I would have to do something since it is botanical. Some of the pieces, some of the stitching are quite abstract. I think you can see all that this is. I don't know what it is called in English, but in Danish we call them Judas money, and that is just stitched out of my head. And yeah, I can see what it is. Perhaps you can. And that is the same here with the leaf there. And then I just continue it down here in the lower part with the other color. This stripe here is sewn on the Momigami paper, and that is twisted chain stitch. And I will also show you that because I have a strip further along the road there, and I will do the same. I think I like to have some of the things being several places on the scroll, so there is something you can recognize instead of not everything is totally new. And I have figured out I really like small parts of these seed stitches spread around in some of the overlaps. And here I just made chain stitches and they remind me of roots or something. And this I will also make one of today or perhaps the next time. But here you can see I have whipped around also, and that gives it a little more definition. So I would do that also. And here, this area here I really like. I have to figure something out what to do there, and I have thought about doing some like branches with fern stitches, and I don't know if that would be today. But this was a piece of Ego dyed fabric I have dyed on a course I was attending myself. And there was these two leaves you can clearly see, but this wasn't there. There was a half leaf there, and you can see that. So I did the same again. I did running stitches all over the place, and then I whipped around it. And this one I just took my pencil and draw a little line there and put that in. And then I have done running stitches following the lines of the leaves instead of making them vertical or horizontal as I have done other places. And there you can see that one is the same as this one, and that is what I meant by I like my things to be several places. And it is something I have from when I'm making collages. There I also like to have, if I have one, I don't have two, but then I would know would have three of the same element. And this one, these three stitches there is just fly stitches and overlapping each other in two different colors, and stem stitches there. And again, the small part here with the seed stitches, and that I will use several places, these dark seed stitches around in some of the overlaps. And this is where so far I have been stitching by myself. So today I think this here I have exactly the same place here. Well, not place, but it's fabric. It was from the same piece of fabric as this one was. So I think I will just draw a leaf. This one is quite clear, and there's perhaps a little definition, but I think I will just draw with my pencil here a bigger leaf there, so there at least are two leaves. And don't mind the lines because I will be covering them up. So I will take my darkest thread here, but of course you could have placed them anywhere you wanted to place them. And I have my needle here, so and this is my thin mercerized cotton I like to sew with. So away with that, and then I will just start going around this one here with running stitches, and that isn't very difficult. It is a quite nice fabric to sewing this here. I think it is what, as in Danish we call it raw silk, but I perhaps think it is what you English speaking are calling silk noi. But you can please tell me if I'm correct in that. When I was young, I sewed some of my clothes myself, and at that time you could buy this raw silk in all kinds of colors. It is something here in Denmark I can't find it anywhere, only in the natural color. That's the only color I can find. And I think I would let this tip go in here, so I will just go under here and skip that. How big or small you will make them, that is up to you. Now I have come to the tip, and then I will go the other way around. But I will do that on these two leaves there, do the running stitches, and then I will come back when I have done that and show you how I whip them. So done with the running stitches, and now I will show you how to wipe them. And you just come up under a stitch, and then you take the end of your needle. I think it is easiest to use the needle where at the end where the eye is, so you don't poke your thread. And you always go from the same side every time. So I will just go under the next thread here, and under that thread, and that thread, and that thread. Don't suddenly go the other way. Do it the same way. It doesn't matter if you do it one way or the other, just as long as you do it the same way all the way around. And that is called whipped running stitches. And now I have come to the peak of the leaf, or the top of the leaf, and to make that peak be there all the time, I just go down here because I think it looks nicest, and I come up nearly at the same place, but up somewhere, doesn't matter where. And then I go around till I come to the bottom of this leaf here, and that isn't very difficult, but it looks a little like stem stitches. I think you could have done stem stitches, but I like these whipped ones also because you can whip them with another color. Yeah, I use the same color, but of course you could have used another color. And then I just go down here. Isn't that smart? I will do that also. And here I think I will do running stitches on all this other surface here, but I will do them in around the pattern of the leaves, so where they will end up something like this here. But you don't need to see me do that. I could do that later. I know we will jump around here on this scroll, but for me it doesn't matter which order we do them in. Okay, so done with that, and they look fine. I will do the running stitches all around later, but when I look here at the beginning, I would do the same there. That is fine. I will whip that also. And here in fact, I don't know what to do now. So I will skip that. And that is again because I don't have a big ready plan in my head. I just started in one end. And doing something at the other end give me the idea to do something more here perhaps, because I think perhaps this is a little too pale, or it can need something more. And I discovered that by working at the other end. And yeah, that is just the way I work. And here I don't think I told you about that. That is all small French knots, and there is a row, a line of stem stitches in here. And perhaps I will do these running stitches the other way also. I don't know that yet. That is fine. Here I will have to do something about that, but I think I have another leaf. I will break that up and put a leaf in there, because I think it is, I don't know what I was thinking about making such a long line there. So that will go in there at some time. But I think I can show you here to sew the twisted chain stitches, and I will sew a line there and perhaps some smaller parts in there. So we can do that here now, I think. And for that I have, I'll have to find it here in my box. I have this thread here. I don't know if you can see it, but I can feel it. It is a cotton thread and it is a knitting yarn, and it is totally flat. Yeah, you can't perhaps see that, but yeah, if I put a white piece of paper under, yeah, that it doesn't matter. I can tell you it's flat, flat like a pancake. So I will take a amount of that thread, and sorry for my arm, and thread my needle, and that was easy because it is a thin flat thread. It tears quite easily and it gets torn, not torn, but worn. I don't know the name. When you wore out your clothes, it can split and do funny things. But the thing I will just come up in the middle here and make my first chain stitch, and then now you can see it is paper I'm stitching into, so the holes will be a little different. Here and I can come down in the same, and I go up, and right now my loop is like this, but I will twist it like this, and then you get a twist on your chain stitch. Perhaps not so easy to see on the first one, but and then instead of making a new one, I will just take a stitch down there. And I will go out here on the side. There. And you can make them as far or as long out as you like. Go in there, make a small stitch, and here the loop is okay, but I will twist it. And like it is perhaps not so easy to see. And I can see here I should have put it much higher, so I will just put it in there. And then I can do another one at the other side also, and just put that, make that stitch there. That is, not the right way to do it, but it doesn't matter as long as you're doing something you like. So I will just come up there, go down, and I can put that one under instead. I think that is perhaps, let us see what that ends up like. Yeah, I can twist it there. And you can see the thread is lying quite funny. It is because it is flat. Yeah, it also ends up here in this one. But we can put one up here perhaps. Now I'm really freestyling here. Twisting it. Yeah. Go down there. So now we're in for the trying to do it the right way here. Another stitch here. There. And now I will make one up here. Twist my loop. There. Yeah, they are easier to see now and go in the same hole here. There. Go up here. Make the chain and twist my loop. In here. So you can make them as big or as small or as uneven or whatever you want to do here, but I will continue all the way down here and then I can show it to you when I'm done. So for the last stitch, and I don't know if it's because it is a flat thread, because they don't look particularly twisted, but I think I'm doing it the right way. I come up and then I go down like a normal chain stitch, and here my thread is on the left of my needle. Then I throw it over my needle and take the other thread, or the end, over there. So yeah, it isn't much twisted. They perhaps a little, but yeah, it doesn't matter that much. But this is the way you do it. It doesn't look particularly twisted, I think. And there you can see the thread has divided because it splits up this thread if you're sewing with two long threads. But in fact, I don't mind it because it gives it a little more texture. So I will just leave my ends in here like that. And then we can take a look. So this is how it ended up. And I don't think I will do running stitches here in this paper because it is so crinkled, so it has the texture. But one thing I have discovered doing this is I really like my scroll here to have a lot of stitching. I really like the texture of this. Yeah, it is a little like quilting perhaps, but I really like the look of it. It gives it something. Yeah, I just like it. But if you don't have to do it, of course. But then this patch here is done, and let me see what else we can do. I will look at how long I've been on so far and see if there are room for another little thing in this video. Then there was this patch here. I could of course pick my invisible basting up and cut these fabric away, but I don't think I bother do that. So I will just baste this down, and then I can do exactly the same as I have done on these sleeves here. going around there. And then there perhaps I can do one of these chain stitch flowers with French knots in the middle. There's room for one there, I think. Like that. So yeah, I will just place it. I will just come up here and go a couple of threads back. And again, yeah, it's a little more to stitch into here because there are an extra layer now. But I think I can manage. And of course I could have put a pin in, so I'm sure it is sitting straight, but yeah, Wonky is my middle name, so I think that is fine. So I will do this all the way around. You have seen me done that 1,000 times in other videos. So I will base that down, and then we can sew such a thing here. This is based down, so I know how much room I have here. I have taken, this is some leftover from a shawl I was knitting it many years ago, and it is a nice, really soft alpaca yarn. So use also your old knitting yarns. Wool does something else that, for instance, linen does. Linen isn't forgiving. It is hard to make nice French knot with a linen thread. Wool is much more forgiving. You can make it to lie perhaps much nicer, but I seldom use wool, and I don't owe very much embroidery with wool, but here in this case, when I do this kind of flower, I think it looks nice when you do it with wool. I know you can of course eyeball it and make a circle with the stitches, but I like to have, yeah, perhaps that is too, let us see here. But I like to have a line to know where I should be inside. No, that is too small. It's a big pen, and my circle will always get a little smaller than it shows there because of my thick pencil. But the way I'm doing it is I'm doing a round of chain stitches, and I like to do it like this. As you probably all know how to make a chain stitch, but let me see how big I want them. Something like that. And you come up, and then I like to hit the circle here, go down in the same, and then hit the circle. This is much heavier thread for this small stitching, but it can be done. So let us see here, and then I just go down here. Yeah, and you can see I did them the other way around. I started inside, so I think I would just start inside instead. But I will let that one be. But to have something to steer after, I will just go over here. If you say that was 3 o'clock, I will go for 6 o'clock, and I will come up at the ring there. Take my stitch there and go down, and you can decide how long you want this little stitch here to be. if you will make it as small as possible or you will make it bigger. That is up to you. So now I will fill the gap in here between. It's a quite long strip here to sit with. So I will just go as close as I can here to that previous stitch in the ring. Yeah, it will do its thing and come down in the same hole and go out. Sometimes you have to say to your thread and your cloth, it's you who decides, not them. Come up again here in as close as you can in the drawn or traced ring. There. Make the next stitch. There. Go down. There. And I think I can fit at least 2 more ones in. There. Down with that little stitch. There. Oh, I hope I'm in frame. I'm so concentrating on what I'm doing. So come up here in the traced line, down in the same hole, and up between the stitch that was done and the first one I made. There. Now you have made the first quarter of your circle. So I will just run around with this. Yeah, I forgot to say I just used ordinary machine sewing thread for basting this piece down. Again, I will go here now. You could say it's 6 o'clock again, and do the same stitch. There. Ouch. And down. There. And then again I will fill out the gap between here. So I will go so close as I can. Of course they need a little room because it's wool thread, but you can put them quite close. So there, and down. And you can make the ring as small as or as big as you want. And I need to fit 2 more in here. I don't count and say I had so and so many between the other, but it's more about it's looking nice than it's about counting. And maybe I need to have 3 in there because there's a bigger space there. But then we will fit them into. If you want them totally round on the outer circumference here, you can always draw a circle there too, but I like they are a little perhaps different. So now I think there's a knot somewhere. No, there it was. There and down. If you can hear something in the background, it's my hubby who is cutting the hedges. It's the time of the year. Here in Denmark we have a rule saying you have to cut them before. Yeah, I don't know what it's called in English, but we call it Sankt Hans. It's an evening, one evening of the year where we are making bonfire, and in the old days they were burning witches that day. We don't do that anymore, but here in Denmark at least. So now you can see half a circle. So I will make the other half and start showing you the French knots in the middle. So done, and it is a little wonky, and I don't mind that. On the other two ones I've made already, I don't know if you can see it, but I have made a little stitch inside the loops here. But I don't think I would do this in this one here. They are sitting quite close. There's some few places where they perhaps could benefit from it, but I have taken my thickest linen thread here, and I will make French knots here in the middle, and it isn't the easiest threads to make French knots with, but I will try because I like the color and I want a quite thick thread. So I just come up and go 1, 2, 3. Let us try 4 and see what happens. Because if I take a thinner thread, I can sit here all day and just pull through. I can't remember if I showed you that stitch here. Perhaps I did in the second video, but 1, 2, 3, 4. And now you can learn to count in Danish if you want to. Yeah, I think it is okay. And then I will just fill all this little area here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and go down nearly the same place where I came up. And do it a little slowly so you don't make knots on your thread. Then it is impossible to do something about other than pick it up or cut it off and start all over. 1, 2, 3, 4, and down nearly at the same place. Keep the tension here on your needle, and there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and down. And besides keeping the tension there, I have made myself that habit of holding my thread here, because then there is a bigger chance that it won't tangle up or making knots. So you can just slip it when you can feel it. It's okay to slip it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. But I will sew all these small knots in here, and then I can show it to you here. Isn't that cute? I really like this stitching, or this kind of flower head. While I was stitching it, I was thinking about what else to do here, and I think I reached that conclusion that I want to do some elongated chain stitches, and I think I will make a row over here where the heads are here and the stalk is going down in the other area with a little space between, and then I would make the same up here and let that leg go in between or something like that. And again, I have taken this flat cotton stitch yarn here, and I will see if I can succeed with this. The other thing I was thinking about is this little area here. I will do a cluster of seed stitches like that. I like to have them in some of my overlaps. Yeah, but that was another thing. So I will just see if I can come up here. Yeah, that is perhaps a little too small. There. come down in the same hole and come up just under the line there where the two pieces are all overlapping. And then I will just go nearly all the way down here. So it gets a long leg here. And you can always give it a little massage so they look nice. And I will go a little further away so I know I can get a long leg in there. Or there. Come up there. And of course I could have made my heads longer here. Like that. And a little away again. It doesn't matter if they are at exactly the same height. It is always a little more complicated to stitch while filming because I have to hold it in my hands in another way than I'm doing it when I'm by myself. There I always sit with this on my thigh. So that is why it looks a little awkward sometimes. It also feels a little awkward. They are quite big here. Don't make them too tight. Whoops, sorry if I was shaking you. There and down here somewhere. Yeah, it looks like small trees, I think. So now I will go the other way here. Yeah, perhaps I would do it three as at one row and another row and another row. Then I have nearly covered the fabric. So I think that's a good way. I will try that. And if I don't like it, I can always pick it up. There isn't anybody else but me deciding what to do and not to do in this case here. There. Go down here. So now I'm nearly running out of it, but here you can see it. They're quite big stitches I have chosen to do. I think they look like small trees. There isn't any. Yeah, you can say this is perhaps the size it was in nature if there was a flower looking like that. This is quite another size, and I put all different sizes in the same. But that is artistic freedom, I think. But I will stitch this through and I can show it to you. So 3 rows of these stitches, and to give them a little extra, I have taken, it's the last thread I have of this. I think it is Ryan. It is shiny, and just put a straight stitch into the chain stitch. You can see I come up here at the bottom of it and go down at the top, and I go a little over there, so I spread the stitch a little out. That is just to give it a little extra. And that is this funny or strange things with this. You can keep adding and see, oh, that needs a little more there, and you need to do a little more there. And the more you stitch, the more you want to put in. And that is why it ended up being so full of stitches, and get this lovely structure or texture as I really like. So I think that will be enough for that there. And then I will start doing some, and perhaps I will save this. There is not much left, but you never know if you just need a little bit of it, and I can always throw it away when I'm done with this project. I haven't a big bowl of oats, and like many of you stitchers have, because I don't like all these loose ends. Yeah, but that's just me. I end up with a bird's nest if I do it like that. But I will just start that up here, and yeah, you have seen me also doing this many times, so I just will continue. And then I will do something about the areas that I don't think is as I like them. Do a little more stitching on them, and then I have some areas still left, and then with them we could do them at the final video, and then perhaps I will do a little extra video yeah, perhaps a short or something where I show you the whole scroll when it's done. But that will be all stitching for today. But if you want to follow along here or see what I'm doing, hit the notification bell and you will get a notification every time I put a video up. I hope you like what you have been seeing here in this video, and perhaps you have learned some tips and tricks, or perhaps some stitching you didn't know, or yeah, or you just like to see me stitch and showing how you can do things, even though it isn't very perfect and it is just for enjoying the stitching. And that is very important, I think. But if you have, please give my video a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing my little Danish channel. I would appreciate it very much. And then I will say take care and be creative, and please be nice to each other. That's the only thing we but ordinary people can do right now. That is, be nice to each other. So thumbs up, please, and I will see you again in part 3 and the last part in this scroll with the botanical theme. Okay, hej hej.